What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. I do uploads daily. Thank you for joining once again. I've talked about how the squad, members of the squad, Patrice Cullors and others, talk about defunding the police, but for them, they have their own elevated police squad that reports to them directly, private security. And private security is not cheap. You're hiring a person to protect your life. It's pretty expensive. Someone actually was able to get a question out to Representative Cori Bush on this topic. Here's how it went.
They would rather I die? You would rather me die? Is that what you want to see? You want to see me die? Because that could be the alternative. So either I spent $70,000 on private security over the last few months, and I'm here standing now and able to speak, able to help save 11 million people from being evicted, or I could possibly have a death attempt on my life. And we're also talking about the same exact people who say horrible things about me, who lie to build up their base. And then because they lie about me, I receive death threats. I have private security because my body is worth being on this planet right now. I have private security because the white supremacist, racist narrative that they drive into this country, the fact that they don't care that this black woman that has put her life on the line, they can't match my energy, first of all. This black woman who puts her life on the line, they don't care that I could be taken out of here. They actually probably are okay with that. But this is the thing. I won't let them get that off. You can't get that off. I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives.
Someone help me make this make sense. Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing more hypocrisy. And this video is not going to be about that. I'm trying to follow the rules laid out, the rules for political engagement laid out by Sour Patch Lids, producer of the Tim Pool podcast and Timcast IRL. And by the way, happy birthday, August 5th. I believe it's her 30th birthday today. But I like that because it's so easy to point out the hypocrisy, but that's not doing anything. The only thing that matters is the power that you have to inform people or to change things. And I'm not going to be able to do all that. But if I go deeper than the hypocrisy, maybe we can get more meaning out of this. I'm not a fan of Cori Bush, but her story is amazing. It's a great American story. She was a triage nurse. She was an activist in Ferguson and otherwise coming up with the Black Lives Matter movement. She knows the struggle of having to sleep in her car. And so she knows what it's like to have nothing. I know that struggle as well.
The fact that your profile is so unique in terms of Congress. It's very common in terms of the people of the United States. I mean, you're working class, you're a nurse, you've faced eviction and homelessness before, you've been uninsured, you were hospitalized, you had to worry about what those bills are going to be like while you're hospitalized for coronavirus and pneumonia. How does that fact that you have shared those struggles of your community, how did that impact your campaign, and how will it change the way that you govern in this town? Because as you know, most of your colleagues here, they're millionaires, right? They may have studied the struggles of the working class, but it's been a long time since they actually lived it. Why does that piece make a difference?
So people were able to relate to me. They didn't see me as somebody who's, way up here and can't understand their struggles. What I was able to relate and how I was able to connect with people.
Her drive and hunger to go from activism to navigating this field of just nothing but landmines of politics. It's commendable. We need diversity in DC. Don't get it twisted. I can't believe she's the first black woman to represent Missouri in Congress. Her district is Missouri, the 1st district in Missouri, St. Louis. I'm tired of out-of-touch politicians, out-of-touch multimillionaires like Nancy Pelosi and others trying to represent us. They can't represent me. And it's not because of their wealth, it's because they're completely out of touch. Many of them are so out of touch they can't govern. Some of them didn't even know who Breonna Taylor was.
Well, when you went down to Washington for your first orientation, you wore a Breonna Taylor mask when you were down there, and I understand that there was a reaction by some of the legislators who are already there to your mask that you did not expect. Would you share with the audience what that was?
Yeah, so it was the first day of orientation. We had just gathered into the auditorium. Everybody was walking around greeting one another, so we didn't know each other. We were waiting for the first speaker, and people were just walking up to me saying, "Hi, Breonna. Hi, Breonna," one after the other, after the other. And each time somebody came to me and said, the first time I was just like, I was stunned. And then I told them who Breonna was. And every single time I said, I'm not Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor is this person, but I am Breonna Taylor, in the way that I could be next. And it was just like, oh, okay. All right. Nice to meet you. And so by the last time, someone came up to me and said that, I was so hurt and devastated because I feel like we have to understand the struggles of all communities, that are everything that's happening in this country, especially something that was so big as the murder of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Protests happened all over this country for months, and we have to understand what Black people in this community are going through, whether you're Black or not, regardless of Republican, Democrat, Constitution, Libertarian, or no affiliation. We have to know what people in our communities are dealing with and what they're going through. We're talking about life. Like, this is not about, ice cream. This is life.
Now, there are many names of people who interacted with police or got killed or hurt or whatever that I don't know their names of. But Breonna Taylor is someone you should know if you are in Congress. Now, I don't think what happened to Breonna Taylor is the racist, outrageous act to be marching down the street for that others do, but I know the name. And I'm not going to get into that on this video. But that's what Cori Bush brings, is she knows that. She's better at that. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. And I think that diversity of thought on paper is good. Cori Bush's time in Washington, D.C. has been way more harmful than positive or productive. She talks about white supremacy a lot. Really, 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 really a lot.
If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, the first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist.
If you're into that, that's fine. I'm not going to hate you, but to me, that's not productive. I think it's increasing division, and maybe that might be the goal of some people. I don't know. The real question is, how do we bridge gaps? How do we bring people together and decrease division, at least for me? Meghan McCain asked Cori Bush about this on The View, and she didn't answer the question well.
What do you think we can do going forward to try and bridge divides in this country and work together collectively as Americans? Because I think a lot of people are just feeling, especially after the terror attack, like we are a country completely divided with nothing in common anymore.
So what we can all do is we can do our part to make this an anti-racist society. And that means not just talking to, not just saying I have a Black friend or I help out, I help my Palestinian friends and I do. No. We're talking about talking to your friends and then your block, talking to the people in your religious affiliation or your groups, whatever you're doing, talking to them. You're at your job, at the company you own, making the effort, putting some real intention behind making this an anti-racist country. And so and how are we also doing that? We got to make sure people have health care. Every single person deserves health care.
How do we lessen the divide and tensions in our country? Cori Bush didn't mention anything about building bridges. She dug in more into her beliefs as making this an anti-racist society. The question is, how do you exist with people who don't believe in your anti-racist views? She brought up healthcare at the end. The question is really, and I am for Medicare, that's one of those positions where I agree with people on the far left on in Medicare for all, and I'm also into a universal basic income. But the question is, how do we have conversations? And I hope we could do that on this channel, because many people who watch this don't agree with those plans, those policies. The question is, Cori, how do we work together with people who don't believe in Medicare for all? Of course, she didn't have an answer to the question because she doesn't think about that. The way that she brings people together is to bring them to her side. And if you're not in her side and you don't agree with her, then you are not American, you're a white supremacist, and all of that other stuff. What a terrible non-answer. It tells you all you need to know about it when someone asks you that simple question and you don't have an answer to it. My feedback for Cori Bush is how I'm going to end this. Just because you used to sleep in your car, and same applies to me, just because I had a week or whatever, I don't even remember the time frame, where I slept in my car, all of my own doings, no blaming anybody else. Just because we had that moment, Cori Bush, doesn't mean that we can't become the elitist politicians who are out of touch that you want to replace. Respectfully, Representative Bush, you are a legislator. You're not an activist anymore. Your success is defined by the legislation that you're able to be a part of, not the fake activism that you're trying to force feed right now. We need you to work with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need you to talk to your constituents and let them know, I'm going to work with people like Lauren Boebert, and I'm going to have them bring stuff in a piece of legislation that helps you here, because they're a part of the country too. They represent part of the country as well. Of course, she's not going to do that because she wouldn't win her race, but that's what we need. You're supposed to be co-sponsoring legislation that helps your district and our country. You're not supposed to be pushing the president and thinking about it from the standpoint of, I don't care what how we do it. I don't care what the means are. Even if the means are unconstitutional, I don't care. And this message is not just for Cori Bush, for any progressive out there. I don't want to see anybody evicted, but I want to see that done through laws, constitutionally. So she pushed, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jamal Bowman and others pushed Biden to do unconstitutional acts, and the CDC to do unconstitutional acts to extend in a certain framework and to avoid the full eviction moratorium. But that's not what your job is, Cori. Your job is to legislate and to hold the executive branch accountable, even if you're in the same party. Your job is not to give the executive branch more power, because that same power that you give the executive branch now is the same power that could hurt the 1st District in Missouri down the road when the president is here, whether it's 4 years, 8 years, or 20 years, to hurt that same district that you love right now. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for listening. Take care.
Gunshots, broken glass, my city's beautiful. Dirty streets, full of trash, my city's beautiful. Dope dealers, tainted water, my city's beautiful. Prostitutes on the corner, this shit is beautiful. Corrupt cops, shady mayor, my city's beautiful. So much pollution in the air, my city's beautiful. Bad school, worst judge, All praises due, I'm glad I made it through. Another night alive for another day of school. I'm on my way to school. I see my favorite news, cast her right outside my crib reporting daily news. She pretty as the penny that I found a day or two ago that helped me buy that Twix I ate at school. One I had for breakfast, the other I ate at noon. I took my free lunch home for dinner, I played it smooth. Today I'm thinking about this test I gotta take at 2 to let me know if I can graduate from 8th and move on to high school. I think my grades are cool enough. If not, I guess I'll stay in 8th till they improve. Or maybe they'll push me through like they did my neighbor Pooh. He couldn't really read, but the administration knew. He be in and out of school. I guess he claimed a crew. The teachers always say he got a bad behavior mood. His cousins gang bang, pops a gang banger too. His uncle was a kingpin, I guess he made some major moves. But his partner got knocked, then he got incarcerated too. They wanted me to hustle, I just wanna stay in school. I told them I was straight, I had to break the news. If that's the code of the streets, I had to break the rules. Of course I want them Jordans, Carolina baby blue. But I'm used to having nothing, I don't need the latest shoes. These ones I got on my feet help me make it safe to school every day. Past the homeless man, they call him Crazy Lou. I'm just trying to make it through another day of school. So one day maybe I can be mayor and I can say to you,
bullet scars, tattoos, my city's beautiful. Potholes, black eyes, my city's beautiful. Dark nights with no lights, my city's beautiful. Sandwich with no meat, my city's beautiful. Barbershop, boutique, my city's beautiful. Liquor store, church, another liquor store. You never know when she tipsy though, but I know when she miss me though. I never know anything is wrong, cause she always smile when I get back home. I can always hear some music on boom boom with the drum, and she cooking on the stove. I can tell she trying to stay strong, so I stay strong. What else I'm supposed to do? She turning on some cartoons, Dragon Ball before the Pikachu. We don't watch the evening news, it's too much bad news. Plus they don't always tell the truth, she let me know what's really going on. She always keep me sheltered from the storm. She all I ever knew, she all my avenues. Mama, you're beautiful, you make my city beautiful. That one night when they was shooting folks, you said that it was fireworks, we celebrated Julie 4th. That one time you had them sunglasses on in the wintertime, I knew you was right, I knew my dad was wrong. Dead wrong, you kept my imagination strong. Show me how to see the good and the bad, for that I'm thankful. But now I wanna tell you, Mom, I love where I come from. You see them jagged edges in the park kept me sharp. The weed in the grass kept me off joint. The needles in the park kept me on point. And them boys that used to play with the gun toy, you said it's best to stay around them. The paramedics found them with no pulse, like oh Lord. They say he in a better place now. When I make it to a better place, wow, I can't forget.
Gunshots, broken glass, my city's beautiful. Dirty streets, full of trash, my city's beautiful. Dope dealers, tainted water, my city's beautiful. Prostitutes on the corner, this shit is beautiful. Corrupt cops, shady mayor, my city's beautiful. So much pollution in the air, my city's beautiful. Bad schools, worse judges, my city's beautiful. Bad food, but I love it, this shit is beautiful. All praises due,